Welcome back to the Marching Arts Network. I am the Stressmaster. Thank you all for joining me for this midweek recap. It is July the 31st as I am recording this video, so we're going to be looking at scores from July 30th through July 31st. There's a lot of shows on July 30th, and then we're going to look at the Core Clash app and look at rankings and where everybody's at in different captions. I'm going to preface this with I have a cold. Don't know how I have a cold in the middle of summertime, but my voice is kind of weird and my nose is kind of weird, so I'm going to do my very best to get through this video. So let's go ahead and get started with the scores. All right, so we're going to go back to the first show, which is a DCI Delaware. All right, so we're going to recap all of the captions where everybody's at ranking wise after we go over the scores here, but we have Blue Coats breaking a 95.225. Blue Devils catching up with a 1-point gap now with a 94.250. Santa Clara Vanguard with a 90.8. Troopers 86.650. Blue Knights with an 83.4. So Crossmen's in 82.25. So we can see the gap starting to kind of spread out a little bit. And then Jersey Surf with the 73.450. So I really like their show this year. And there's something really cool we're going to see in the captions later on. It's awesome, but it's just like, wow. So I can't wait to show that to you guys if you haven't seen it yet. All right, but let's take a look a little bit at the recaps from this show. So GE Blue Coats 38.4 to a 37.9. So they're starting to really close that or move that gap away in terms of GE, because their GE is just so phenomenal. They have a great show. 37.9, 36.2 for Vanguard. Troopers at 34.8, 33, 33, and 29.7. So move this over here. Okay, so visual looks like we have an 18.8 here. Blue Devils has a 9.5 in content. I still don't understand how they're getting so much high scores in content. Maybe you guys can explain it to me, but I don't think that their show has as much complexity. But what do I know? But I just don't see it. I still don't see it. But you can see the scores are consistent here. They have 9.4 in content for Blue Coats and a 9.4 in achievements. So they scored an 18.8. I just don't see that. I don't see that 9.5. So maybe I'm missing something. Visual analysis 19.0 to an 18.7, and you guys can see the scores here. I'm not going to go over all the scores because we have a lot more recap to go over and rankings and stuff like that. But 19.1 for Color Guard to a 19.2 for Blue Devils. They always have an amazing Color Guard, of course. And then 28.450, 28.3. So let's go ahead and move over to music. Like I said, I'm not going to go over all of them because we just don't have the time in this video. But Blue Coats, excuse me to get the percussion here. So we have 19.3 to 19.0, 18.7 to 18.4, and then percussion 18.7. Oh, Vanguard took 18.8. That's right. So Vanguard, of course, taking percussion. I always have a great percussion line. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to, or go to the next score. Which is going to be Salem, Virginia. Oh, wait, did I miss one? Oh, sorry, Centerville. I almost missed Centerville. So Mandarins with a 90.25, Blue Stars with an 88.450, Madison with an 84.950. So Music City, and then Genesis. So let's take a look at the recaps, because I wonder if it's here where we're going to see what I was thinking of. Let's see here. So GE 35.7, so nothing out of the ordinary here. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so Blue Stars taking Color Guard, okay, over the Mandarins. In music analysis here, music brass gives me 18.5 to an 18.1, 18.1 to a 17.7, 18.4 to a 17.9, and then look at this, we have a 16.6 in percussion over Madison. So that's actually, we're going to talk about this percussion score here. But you can see the 27.5 to 26.8, 25.6. So pretty close here between Madison and Music City. And then the scores, though, pretty big jumps here. Okay, open class. So we have Raiders. I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to look at some open class cores, because I know we have a tendency not to do that. So we apologize for that. But you can see the scores here. I'm not gonna go in depth into those. And then the all age is Cincinnati Tradition. Their final score was an 83.9, so really good score. Okay, so let's go ahead and head back. We're not going to spend a lot of time, like I said, I'm not going to go in depth into everything yet, because I want to go in depth in the rankings and stuff like that, and captions overall as a whole. This is the Southwestern Virginia. Let me take a look at these scores here. Okay, so we had Crown, Colts, Cavaliers, Pacific Crest Academy, Seattle Cascades. So I'm not going to go into the captions because there's such a big spread here. It's going to be pretty much straight down the line, with the exception of a few things. But you guys can see the scores there. Cavaliers with an 86.4. They don't seem to be gaining as much as everyone else. So I'm not sure what's happening in terms of the Cavaliers. We're going to look at the rankings and stuff like that, but it just seems like they're not gaining as much as everyone else. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the last show. This was the show tonight, and this is March On. So it looks like it's just a smaller core show, but Columbians with the 76.550, River City Rhythm 76.1, and Colt Cadets with the 72.0, and then the Governors in the all age class. Okay, so as I was recording this, scores came in for a show in Huntington, West Virginia. So we're going to look at that. We just looked at March On, so we're going to look at the DCI Huntington score. Let's go take a look at these real quick. And we're going to look at these all in depth in the rankings and stuff on the Core Clash app. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but we do have some competitiveness between Phantom, Mandarins, and Blue Stars. And I did want to point that out. So Phantom Regiment with a 92.275. Way to go, Phantom. Mandarins with a 90.5. Blue Stars with an 88.475. Madison Scouts at 84.65. And then 81.5 for Spirit. And 77 for Genesis. We're going to take a quick look at the recaps, and then, like I said, we're going to look at the overalls for everybody, just so we can look at things more globally, you know what I mean? So Phantom Regiment with the 37 in GE, so at 36.2, so it's right down the line here. Nothing is kind of flipped. Visual proficiency, let's look at the visual caption. Mandarins in content have a 9.3 to a 9.2 in Phantom Regiment, but achievement in the total went to Phantom. All right, so you can see there, 27.3. So Mandarins actually beat Phantom Regiment Color Guard. Congratulations, that's awesome. And you can see the totals here, 27.3 to 27.150. And then we have Music Brass. That actually went to Blue Stars, so 18.850. They are just cooking. And we're going to look at that later on. You're going to see that where they're ranking in comparison to everyone else, which that's a really good score. So beating Phantom Regiment, beating Mandarins in the brass caption. Now music analysis is a 18.4 for Phantom, 17.7 for Mandarins, and a 17.5. So very close there. And then 18.8 in percussion for Phantom to an 18.2, 17.4, 17.1, and 17.6 for Spirit of Atlanta. So Spirit of Atlanta actually got third in percussion. Wow. That's really good. Way to go, Spirit of Atlanta. And then we got the scores here, of course, 92.275, 98.05. Okay, so we're going to move on down. So in open class, Spartans. So Spartans GE 31 to a 30.4 for gold. Les Stentors 25.3, and then it's just pretty much straight down here in caption. So Spartans taking the captions there. Some flip-flopping a little bit here in brass between gold and Spartans, and then 14.8 in music analysis to a 13. Wow, that's a big jump. And the same thing in percussion. So it looks like gold took music by a whole point. So that's pretty darn good. So it's really just visual to percussion or to music. So that kind of flip-flop there. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the app. So let's take a look at the scores as they rank at everybody. So I'm going to look down here. So you're going to see me looking down because I have the phone right here. Because I have my phone tied in because you can only get this app on your phone. Highly recommend getting the Core Clash app. It's a great app. It keeps you, it like pings you whenever there's a score update, and you can look at events, rankings, the individual cores and stuff like that. So really highly recommend this app. Really great app. Okay, Blue Coats, 95.225. Blue Devils with a 94.250, and then Boston has not competed, so they're currently sitting in third place, but that could change. Carolina Crown with a 93.2, and then Phantom Regiment with a new score of 92.275, moving up 0.625. Then we have about a point and a half jump down between 5th and 6th place. So Santa Clara Vanguard with a 90.8, Mandarins with a 90.5, Blue Stars with an 88.475, and we have Colts in 9th, Troopers in 10th, Cavaliers in 11th, and Madison Scouts in 12th. They actually lost 0.3 points. So it could just be competition and stuff like that, but we're going to see where that is. And then let's look down in the next grouping, which is Pacific Crest, Blue Knights, Crossman, Spirit of Atlanta. Looks like Pacific Crest jumped up 1.5 points, so that's pretty good. That's between their previous performance and their current one. Music City with an 80.9, Spartans with an 80.050, and Academy 79.850. Gold with a 77.95, and you guys can see the rest of the scores here. And then we have the next grouping here. So it's going to be Blue Devils B, Jersey Surf, Colt Cadets. And Blue Devils B hasn't competed since July 14th. So we don't know where they're going to be. And then some other corps that haven't competed in quite a while. So let's go ahead and go. We're going to look at the next caption, which is brass. Actually, the first caption, which is brass. So we have 19.3 for the Blue Coats, 19.050 for the Blue Devils, 18.850. So Blue Stars in third in brass. Wow, they have come a long way this summer. Holy moly. Just incredible. I mean, they're ahead of Carolina Crown in brass. Amazing. And then we have Phantom Regiment with an 18.750, Santa Clara with an 18.5, Mandarins with an 18.4, and then Boston, like I said, they haven't competed, so we don't know what their score truly would be. They have an 18.3 and an 18.2. So this is all going to flip-flop and change as soon as Boston competes, because I'm sure they're going to score. They have, in the 19s. They'll probably score in the high 18s, low 19s. So we'll see what happens with them. But everybody's within a point. So I'm seeing a kind of trend. Like everybody, like in the top 10, is within a point, or top 9 or 10 is within a point of each other. We have Madison Scouts they went down 0.8 in brass. Wow. So they're at a 17.7. Interesting. So they're at a 16.9 now. Music City, 11th place with the 16.8. So they're actually in the top 10 or top 12 in brass. So way to go, Music City. And then Cavaliers with the 16.8. Now, once again, you got to kind of take it with whatever it is, because they're not all competing together. So it's really not ranked in order, and they're not scoring based on other competition. It's based on who they were competing against at the time. I'm just going to kind of briefly go through this, but we got Blue Knights, Colts, Spartans, Pacific Crest, Crossman. You can kind of see the numbers here. Everybody's kind of within 16s there, all the way down to gold. And then it switches to the 15s. So we're not going to go too in depth there. I don't want to take up too much time, but let's look at percussion. And once again, Boston Crusaders are still in the lead, and they haven't competed in 4 days. So it could go up to a 19.3 and 19.4. Don't know until they compete. Let's see when their next competition is. So I just clicked on their name, and it tells me like when their next competition is. So it looks like they're competing on the 2nd, which is in a couple days. So we should see something there. Okay, so we got Carolina Crown, Phantom Regiment, Santa Clara. Blue Coats went down in percussion. Interesting. Wow, they went down to an 18.7. Wow, they were at a 19.1 and they dropped down that much. Interesting. Cavaliers with an 18.7. Blue Devils in 7th place with an 18.650. So that's kind of okay. That's mind blowing. And then Colts, Mandarins, Troopers. Everybody. Wow. So from 1st all the way down to 10th, everybody's within 1 point in percussion. That's just insane. And then you have Spirit of Atlanta in 11th place, Pacific Crest in 12th place, Blue Stars in 13th place. So they got a really high brass and a really kind of lower percussion, but it's really tight this year. And you can see all the scores here, so we're not going to go in depth, and let's look at guard, the last caption here. So Blue Devils winning that caption with a 19.2. Actually, they're tied with Boston because Boston hasn't competed in 4 days. Blue Coats in 3rd. Careless. So everybody's all over the place caption-wise. Santa Clara Vanguards in 5th. Mandarins with an 18. Phantom with a 17.7. Cavaliers with a 17.4. Colts with a 17.3. So once again, I mean, this is captions a little bit more spread because we have Blue Devils with a 19.2, and then it stops in 6th place, so that's like 1.2, and then it drops down in the 17s on 7th place. So interesting. Madison Scouts still holding in 12th place. Let's look at the percussion score because I wanted to look at where Madison was percussion-wise. So they're in 15th place right now. They were in 20th place, and then they were in 18th place. So it looks like they're moving up in that caption. They moved up 0.6. So that's probably helping their overall score because they were really struggling in that caption. So I'm glad that they're getting that in tune because right now they're at 17.1. If they can get into the 17.5 to 18 range, I think they'll be okay, for making top 12 this year. So, and I think that's what's really holding them back right now because they could, if their percussion went, I think they could be in 10th place. Their show is good enough. I just don't know if they're going to get the captions into that realm, but we'll see. We will see. So tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Who you think is supposed to be where. I haven't seen any shows recently. I don't think we're going to have time to watch a show on this video. I apologize for that. We'll watch one on the podcast though, so make sure you're tuned in for that. If you have not subscribed, now would be a great time to do that so that you get notified when we have cool videos like the one you're watching right now. I know Toomer's working on a video, so I don't know if this one's going to get up before his. But we have the podcast every weekend where we go in depth into all the scores, all the things that are happening. We watch shows. We kind of want to make sure we're getting to every show. Maybe what we'll do is we'll kind of go dip into the open class. I really liked the Spartans last year, so maybe they have a good show this year. I haven't seen it yet, so we're going to watch it. Let me go ahead and switch back over here. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining me on this little journey of the midweek recaps. Some crazy score jumps, man. Everybody's all over the place. Normally it's pretty consistent. Like everybody's like really good in almost all the captions, but it's really flip-flopped all over the place this year. Some are really good in this caption, some are really good in that caption. And it's really crazy how tight everything is with percussion, brass, but the guard caption is very spread out in the top 12. So it's really interesting. So tell me your guys' thoughts. We'll be seeing you guys this weekend, so please make sure you stay tuned. Thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you on the next video. Until then, you know what to do. You got to march on.